Yo, what's good, my people? You're back here again, and today we're diving into type, class, and ID selectors in CSS. Now, if you've been checking out my previous videos, you know we've talked about selectors in general, but this time we're zooming in. You ever see a bunch of HTML tags and wonder how you can style each one differently or group them up together and have the same style? Now, type, class, and ID selectors are going to help you do exactly that. So let's break it down and get you styling like a pro. Now, before we get stuck in, a quick reminder on who I am. I'm a self-taught web developer with no uni degree, no computer science degree, and no bootcamp. Just a lot of hours, a lot of trial and error, and a lot of grind. So if I can pick this stuff up, trust me, so can you. And don't let anyone tell you different. Let's go. All right, so let's talk type selectors. Now, they're sometimes called tag name selectors or element selectors. Now, basically, they're just picking out HTML tags straight from your document. They're not case sensitive either. Now, starting with the simplest type selectors, these are your go-to whenever you want to style all elements of a certain type without hassle. So let's do that for, let's say, all the paragraph tags. So if we do P, and then we'll change it to color red. And if we save that, we can see here, all of the paragraph tags have turned to red. Now, we could do another example. Let's do a H1, and let's say we want the font size to be let's put 30 pixels. And then also, let's say if we want the color to be something different. Yeah, let's use green. Now see, if we save this, all H1s on the page, there's only one. The font size will change to 30 pixels, and as well, the color will be green. This makes all your H1 headings bigger and the color green. Now this is great if you're looking to keep all your headers uniform across the whole site. All right, now let's talk about the universal selector. It's basically the one that doesn't discriminate. You mark it with an asterisk and it goes, calm, I'll select everything in this document. Now, if you chain it with a descendant combinator, it will scope that to everything inside a certain ancestor. Now, for example, we could do P and then asterisk, and P asterisk will go inside any P tag and pick out all its descendants. So let's do it without the P tag. So if we wanted a margin of, it showed it there. So a margin of 0, it will select everything within the HTML document and give it a margin of 0. Now, if we did that for anything within the paragraph, it will do that and pick out all the descendants within the paragraph. Now, all elements in your document lose their default margin with this style that we've just done. If I actually remove the paragraph. And if we save it, we can see here there's no margin anywhere. So it removes the browser defaults, just everything is quite tight together. Now this is perfect if you want to start from a clean slate and build your own vibe from scratch. It's kind of like those reset style sheets you see out there. They strip away all the fancy default browser styling so you can style everything exactly how you want. However, the universal selector isn't just for clearing out margins. Sometimes you could use it to make your selectors easier to read. Now, say you've got an article, an article tag, so you could do it like this, and you want to style the first child of an element inside an article. Now, without the universal selector, you might do something like this, where you could do article and then first child, and then do, let's say, font weight bold. But that's kind of subtle, and you might get confused with article first child, which is a whole different thing. Now, article first child would mean your article itself is the first child, not its descendants. But by adding the universal selector, you make it crystal clear what you mean. So we could put it here, article, and then a space, and then an asterisk, and then first child. Now this now reads like, yo, select any elements that's the first child in an article or inside its descendants. It's much clearer to see what's going on. And that's somewhat of the beauty of the universal selector. Now, it's not just for nuking margins, it's also for keeping your code nice and neat and easy to understand. All right, so let's get into class selectors. Now, class selectors start off with a dot, and they're case sensitive. So let me just remove this. And actually, let's start from scratch from here. Let's put some new copy in there. Now, whatever element you assign to a class, it gets the same treatment, no questions asked. So we start a class selector by putting the full stop, and let's put highlight. Now let's say the background color of yellow, in there. Now, as you can see, we've got the class of highlight on the header, this span, and as well this paragraph as we can see here. So let me add another style. Let me make the body, let's put sans serif. All the text has changed their font family to sans serif. So everything within the body tag, which is everything that we can see. Everything with the class of highlight is showing up with the background color of yellow, as we can see. But let's see if we want to target a specific element that's got a certain class. So say you only want the span with class of highlight to be pink, let's say. So how would we do that? We could easily do that by putting first span, the element, and then the class of highlight. And then now let's change that background color to pink. Now, as you can see, everywhere else with the highlight has stayed yellow. However, this span has changed to pink. Now, if we want to do the same for the, let's say for the heading, for the H1, we'll do the same. H1, so the element or the type, and then we can add a class, which is highlight. And okay, let's change it to light green. So you can see here, that's changed it. Now this happens also because span with a class of highlight and H1 with a class of highlight has a higher specificity than just highlight. And we can see here, if I'm using VS Code, you can see that it shows you the selector specificity. And so you can see highlight, it's just got one in the middle. Now because span has more specificity, it overrides the highlight. So this only gets affected with spans with the highlight class, and this is for H1 with the highlight class. So let's do something else as well. So let's say if we had, let's add some stuff here. So I've got a few divs with some text within it. So let's say if we had the class, so you can see here, we've got a class of notebox, notebox warning, notebox danger, and danger. So let's do a class of notebox, and we could put the, let's say border, let's put 4 pixels solid, and do, should be a nice gray. Okay, I'll let this complete it for me, but I will change. So let's put, actually I'll leave it the same. I'll take out the background color though. So you can see the class of notebox has been added to everything with a class of notebox. So as you can see here, they said this won't get styled. It also needs the class of notebox. So now let's add some more in there. So we've got the warning, which has the class of notebox and warning. So if we add .notebox, .warning, let's just put a border color of orange. It's like all warning messages usually. And now let's save that. Now, as you can see here, it's got similar styling to notebox, but then the border color has been changed. And let's do it for danger as well. So notebox, .danger, and we'll put the border color to red, and also let's change the font weight to bold as well, just so it stands out a bit more. So you can see here, notebox warning and danger still shares similar styles with notebox. However, then it overrides or adds the border color of orange for the warning and border color of red and font weight of bold to danger. And just to show the HTML here, we can see you've got notebox by itself, notebox and warning, notebox and danger, and then the last one just has danger. So then it won't be styled with the same notebox shared styling. Now, class selectors let you create flexible, reusable styles that you can mix and match on the fly. Now, this is how you keep your CSS lean, mean, and easy to manage. All right, so let's talk ID selectors. Now, these kind of work like class selectors, but with a crucial difference. Instead of a dot, you use a hash symbol. And more importantly, IDs are meant to be unique. So one ID per element and one element per ID. No duplicates allowed. Now, if you need to highlight your main headline or a special container that's one of a kind, that's when you would call in the ID selector. So let me just replace this section with another example. Okay, so this should, if I refresh that, and you know what, let's actually just remove all these styles that we have apart from the body. So let's go through what we have in HTML. So here we've got the ID of heading for the ID selector heading. And then also we've got the ID of 1 in this paragraph. So let's add an ID for 1. Oops. So you do the hashtag. Let's do 1 and let's do a background color of yellow. So you can see here that's added it to the element with the ID of 1. Now, if you wanted to add it to the H1 heading, we could do H1, which selects the elements or the type, and then the ID of heading. And let's use color. Let's do Rebecca purple. Why not? So here you can see the heading has changed to the color purple. Now notice how we combined the H1 and the hashtag of heading. Now this is to make it super specific. So if we had the ID of heading, which we shouldn't, on something else, then it makes sure that we're targeting the H1 with the ID of heading. Now also, ID selectors carry a higher specificity than class selectors. And this means that they'll override styles you set with classes or type selectors if they clash. Now, because IDs are strong and unique, a lot of developers prefer sticking to classes for general styling and using IDs only when it's absolutely necessary. Essentially, in short, ID selectors are a weapon you should use to single out a specific element and give it a unique look, but just don't abuse it. Don't use it for everything. The default would still to use type and class selectors unless you really need to use an ID. All right, Mandem, that's a wrap. Now we've covered type, classes, and ID selectors, your main tools for flexing them CSS muscles. Now with type selectors, handling the basics, class selectors, grouping your elements together in style groups, and ID selectors, singling out your VIP elements. Now you're now ready to pattern up your site's design like a pro. Now don't be shy, mix, match them, and experiment. Now, once you get comfy, styling your website is going to feel like second nature. Now, if this helped you level up, drop a like, subscribe, and let man know in the comments what you want to see next. Now, keep grinding, keep coding, and I'll catch you in the next one. Safe.